Hey there, miniature painters. Today we're unboxing Bardsung, Legend of the Ancient Forge, to see if this is a way to get great quality miniatures on the cheap. I actually picked up this box from Miniature Market for about $55 on a sale they were having, but right now Game Nerds has this same game for $45, and as of this recording they have well over 300 copies in stock, which isn't bad considering that this game comes with 68 miniatures and 37 of them are unique sculpts. If you are looking at this as more than just miniatures and maybe looking to get a complete game out of this game was pretty well received by the Board Game Geek community, coming in at just over a score of 7. I think it's around 7.2 or 7.3, with the one main polarizing aspect being the grind of the game. However, right now there is a late pledge available on GameFound where you can get an upgrade pack to remedy the grind. It's listed as $17 US on the site right now in the late pledge, but that probably means you're going to end up paying about $40 to get it shipped here to the US. But still, that comes in at about 85 bucks for a large box game with a ton of miniatures and improved gameplay. Still not too bad of a price for that. So let's get started unboxing Bardsung and check out the miniatures. And this is a giant box. I actually had to change my setup here just to get most of it in frame. And we're suffering from a little more glare than usual, but that's okay. We're gonna zoom in once we get into the miniatures. All right. So I see that was packed. Not the greatest. All right, so what do we got here? Definite trash and garbage and some filler. Oh, that's it. All right. This looks to be a beautiful insert here. And sorry if my voice is going in and out of volume here, but I am having to stand up for part of this unboxing. But this is a very nice looking insert. Tons of miniatures individually packed. We have hero characters and enemy characters. So all the hero characters, it looks like, are going to be in yellow. And it looks like we have a little bit of a dragon character here. Apologies for that glare. All right, so let's just jump in and start unboxing some miniatures. I'm going to set this box aside and just bring these up bin by bin. I'm going to set this box aside and bring the miniatures up just one insert at a time. Again, I kind of just want to point out how nice this insert really is. And it looks like there's even some storage off to the side here for your chits, potentially. Plenty of storage, as long as custom shaped, it looks like. Looks like there are some custom shaped slots for each character. And one question I had that I couldn't seem to find online is, what is the scale of these miniatures? So the first thing I'm going to do is grab a humanoid looking character who is possibly 6 feet tall and measure the scale. And I think she's going to be about the tallest character that we have. So I'm going to measure from the foot above the base to her eye line. Right now I have my ruler set for 28 mil. So these are definitely larger than 28 mil, assuming this is a 6-foot character. So foot to eye line is right about 32 millimeters. So I'd say that these are 32 millimeter scale. And I believe Dungeons and Dragons is still operating at 28 millimeter scale, but I'm not a Dungeons and Dragons player, so y'all will have to correct me on that. Let me get some art to show along with these miniatures, and that will hopefully give us a little idea of how we're gonna paint these. All right, so I'm gonna set this little tray aside so we get a nice black background. And I think what we'll do is we'll start with the hero characters, then move on to the enemies. So first up, we have Wild Shell. Very cool looking tortoise character. Lots of detail on this guy, and a fairly clean miniature too. Starting out strong here. This guy's gonna be fun to paint. Lots of color on the character art for this guy. Lots of direction that they're giving us to work with our miniatures. For our next character, we have Stoneheart, which looks to be a dwarf character. The character sculpting is pretty inspired. Like, that's a very dynamic pose. However, the miniatures aren't as clean and as sharply detailed as I would like to see. This is very much the quality of something like a Zombicide game. Definitely not on par with Darkest Dungeon. There's even some sort of funky, possibly glue attached right there. Show the art for her. Again, a lot to work with the art here. where I'm not going to have to work so hard to create my own color schemes for these characters. And next we have Night Feather. This is one of the characters I am most excited to paint. At first I thought this was kind of a Plague Doctor character, but it seems to be an actual like Raven character. You know, judging by the legs and the feet. Lots of flashing on the feet. That's going to be pretty hard to clean up right there. But that is a very cool character. And here's the art for Night Feather. Next, we'll take a look at the Light Weaver, and this is the character that I measured to get the 32 mil scale. I measured from the feet to the eyes, so it might be a little larger than 32 millimeter scale because she is not standing perfectly straight up here. Kind of have her legs spread a little bit, as women are wont to do. This is not the crispest, is that a word? Not the crispiest? This is not the hardest plastic I've seen on miniatures. Again, I just recently unboxed Darkest Dungeon, in the last couple months, and that one blew me away with the miniatures. I love these sculpts. Very traditional fantasy look to the sculpts, but the actual quality of the mold or the quality of the production just isn't quite there. A little bit messy, but you are getting a lot of them. And the art for this one looks very nice also. Look at that face. I don't know if that's a tattoo or if that's the light emanating from the face, but that's going to be challenging to paint on, to say the least. But challenges are fun. It is a tiny face to paint all those details on. And for the final hero, oh, did I screw that up? I screwed that up. So that is the Lightweaver art. That makes more sense. It's a little more face visible there to work with, but it's still going to be quite a challenge. And then that prior miniature that I had was actually the Dawn Guard. I don't know how I screwed that up, but you can tell by the armor, that is the Dawn Guard. There's a little space to do some freehand symbol. Looks like a rising sun on the chest right there that we can paint on the armor right there. The art is shining in this for me. The sculpts are freaking awesome. However, the quality of the molding is not, but they're going to be very fun. All right, so I'm going to move through these guys quick because we have 32 unique enemy sculpts to get through. So let's do it. We have the Reaver. So much armor and fun to paint. And what I do like about the sculpt, again, even though the execution, it has a lot of mold lines and that sort of thing on it, lots to clean up. The armor is actually textured on this guy, which you don't see a lot on miniatures. There are dings and dents and scrapes on the shoulder armor, the chest plate. That is very cool. I'm assuming that they're all going to be like this too on the armored characters. So some care went into the sculpting of these for sure, like that. I just wish the mold process was a little better. All right, next up we have the Veteran Raider. Cool. Then we have a Brute Herder. That is a big dude. When I get to the dragon, I'm definitely going to have to zoom back out to get everything in the shot, because this is not even close to the largest enemy. And they're getting kind of big. The last bad guy from this tray is this guy with this little eye shield, and so creative. I have a lot of fun with this. And there is his card. So that skull that you see is actually on his knee. He's crouched down. So in the art and on the sculpt, he's got a little skull on his left knee. Fun. All right, and then we have our next tray, just loaded with bad dudes. All right, starting with the first one, we have Elemental Beings. What's kind of cool is there are art for like 5 different versions of this guy, which kind of justifies the redundant sculpts. So they could have made them different. I mean, I think it's just easier to do one sculpt. But as you can see, we have a water elemental, fire, nature, ice, earth, and I believe there was water in there somewhere too. Oh, the first one was water. Yes. The next sculpt is the crone. It's like they're missing a lower jaw there. Lots of tongue hanging out. Another very cool sculpt that's going to require a lot of cleaning. And I think I'll stop talking about the actual quality of the miniatures because they seem to be consistent across all of these enemies, and I'll just roll through the different sculpts and character art at a slightly quicker pace so we can get this done in one day. All right, again, multiple of these guys with multiple pieces of artwork. We have Flux Shade, Storm Shade, Giga Shade, various shades, like the Drowned Shade. Almost all of these characters have multiple cards that these sculpts represent. For example, this guy could be a possessed miner, demonic miner, or just a regular miner. Next up, we have the Arcanist. We have the Executioner to be an assassin. Not as much detail on this character, which is okay. They can't all be winners. We have the King's Guard up next. Okay, these crystals are going to be fun. These are pretty small miniatures. This almost looks like a dwarf character compared to some of the hero characters. But the crystals will be fun to paint on this one. Then we have the Burger King. And the details on this one are not very crisp. Up around the head and upper torso, I'm going to have a little difficulty making out what's what when I'm painting this guy. And lastly from this bin, we have the Sniper. Sort of the mirror image of the Sniper between the art and the actual sculpt here. Alright, now we're on to the final tray of miniatures. And for those of you who dislike my usual unboxing where I toss everything in the trash, you're in luck because most of the paper bits were buried underneath the miniatures. So we're just doing miniatures this round. Alright, so we have the Slaughter Beast. And I'm just going to state again that there are multiple pieces of artwork for each one of these characters, meaning that they also have different names occasionally. And even though there's only one sculpt of this miniature, meaning only one copy of this miniature in the game, it has multiple different variants. Next up we have the Cave Rat, and unlike rats that are simply fodder to level up as a level 1 character, in most games, this is a giant rat. And there's only one copy of this miniature, so it could be a significant enemy. Pretty unremarkable sculpt. I'm not in any hurry to paint this guy for sure. Next up, we have the Hunter. I love the art on this guy. You got a blue-green coming from the miniature's upper right and a nice orange glow from the lower left. So that will be fun to paint with a couple different variants of OSL. As usual, get back into my comfort zone with this guy. Quite an unusual looking plastic. It's much shinier than a lot of plastics that I see on miniatures. And not very stiff at all. Very flexible plastic. Alright, next up we have the War Chief, and some cool art. And this soft plastic is also making me think that I will not use a rattle can prime on these guys. I'll either do brush on prime or I will do an airbrush prime with these guys. Because I'm afraid that with this soft plastic and how shiny it appears, that a rattle can primer may end up sticky on this plastic. I'll still test it though. Alright, next up we have a giant spider here. This particular card says Tamed Spider. And next we have Etten. Dig the variation on all the weapons on these guys. The weapons are pretty unique. They got creative. What is that? We all know what this is. That is the infamous gelatinous cube. I like the hints of orange and yellow in the mouth that go along very nicely with the green. We have a Sepid. This might very well be the first miniature that I paint for this game. I have not painted an anthropomorphic mushroom before. Who's in charge, the big guy on the bottom or the little guy up top? So we have a Reaper miniature. Not the company, the character. And unfortunately his face is lacking in crisp detail. They did mold the different plates on his face as depicted in the artwork. There is some separation of all those plates on the miniature. It just isn't very crisp. And he is smashing somebody's head. Okay, that's pretty freaking cool. Next up, we're going to hit the Crix. I think I've painted my share of tentacles when painting Cthulhu Death May Die. Not excited about this guy, especially with that giant mold line right down the center of his back. We have the Hooked Horror. Looks like it could be a character right out of the Nemesis board game. And it might just be those blades that he has for hands that's reminding me of the adult aliens. Call them what they are. They're aliens. It's a pretty dynamic sculpt. I like the sculpt. Not really looking forward to the amount of cleanup it's going to take to get these guys prepped for painting. This is one of the better miniatures in the game, a little complex. We've got a rider here called the Crimson Hook riding a giant spider. Tons of sculpted detail on this. Just tons of detail. And this guy looks to be the Ettercap. So the art has spiders crawling all over him. One on his right hand, one behind his head, and one on his left, possibly shoulder. Would have been cool if this guy had them. No little spiders actually crawling on this guy. I guess we can paint some on there if we really wanted to, but it wouldn't be the same. That has to be some of the shiniest plastic that I've seen for a plastic that is this soft. Alright, next up we have an Ogre, and I believe there are several variants of this Ogre, not just Marauder. Gigantic club. broken shield as a necklace. That is so cool. Hate to beat a dead horse, but hellacious mold lines, like all around, splitting his head from upper and lower all the way around his head, coming right above his chin. Not to mention all kinds of seams here. See a fork in the road on his shoulder where the seam goes 2 different ways and then runs down his arm. And that's fairly common across all these miniatures. The sculpting work was very nice on these. I wish a little more went into the execution. Took me a while to pair this up, but I believe that this is the shaman. The ears on the sculpt are laying pretty low, not quite sticking out as far as the art, but based on the skull on the left shoulder, stuff on the head, his staff looks a little different, but I'm assuming that this is that character. A lot of similarities there. Which then leads me to the Berserker. These two I had difficulty lining up, and I think it's the ears. They just look a little bit different. Maybe it's the pose, the raised swords and everything, but I believe that guy's the Berserker. I love painting skin tones, so this guy's gonna be fun as well. And last but not least, we have the Demon. I've seen this guy painted up quite a bit. I've never seen him painted that red though. That can't all be glow from the fire. Wow. And this guy is heavy. This is a solid chunk of plastic. All in all, from a pure painting standpoint, I don't think I would pick these up just to paint as display pieces. I just don't think the quality is quite there. If you're interested in this game though, this is a no-brainer, or if you're looking for a lot of miniatures for a good price, sort of as fodder or to fill out a Dungeons and Dragons campaign or something like that, then these things are great. Like the sculpts are fantastic. It's just the actual execution of the production doesn't quite match up to some of the other games I've unboxed recently. I mean, you could just see it here on the terrain part, just hellacious mold lines everywhere. No real separation or gaps though, so that's a good thing. I mean, other than the textured location, these mold lines are all protruding. They stick out, so they're gonna be fairly easy to clean up. It's just gonna take time because there's so many of them. So anyways, that's kind of my wrap up here, is that maybe not from a display standpoint, but definitely from you want extra miniatures for a campaign or you're interested in this gameplay. That's a no-brainer. For the price of this game, if you're into this RPG meets board game, then this is an outstanding deal. Personally, I'm not as much into that type of game, but just a look of these miniatures had me interested, especially for the price. I will paint up some of those armored brutes. You know, I like painting armor. I like painting skin, so there's a lot here for me to paint. That wraps up all of the miniatures from Bardsung. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel to join our growing community of painters. Oh, one last thing. This guy has wings. Gonna have to do a little filing to get that guy in there nicely, but yeah, this guy's got some wings. All right, y'all, have a good one.